Hey guys, my name is Cody Brockway, back with another episode of CB's Fun with Vinyl, ready to rock and roll. So the last couple of videos we did, we were discussing albums of certain eras. So the first one was discussing albums of the 90s, then the next one was discussing albums of the 2000s, and then this one is going to be discussing records from the 2010s era up until now, 2022. So let's just cut the conversation and let's start here. We're gonna go to 2016 with Anthrax, For All Kings. I love this album. To me, this is up there with Among the Living, which is their 1987 album. It's one of the best things this band ever did. Every song is great. This album is a really great metal album, and I love it. If I had waited one day, I could have put the new Megadeth album in because it's coming out tomorrow. But maybe we'll do a review video or something on that, and it'll get its own video. Power Up, ACDC. This is from 2020. We're all in lockdown, and these guys were in rockdown, and they created a great album for us. This is the yellow vinyl edition. Pretty cool. I still have it in the cellophane. It's open at the top. Yeah. Okay. Next up, we're going back to 2016 with, honestly, this should be considered a pop classic. It only came out about 6 years ago, of course, but I love it. And this is Bruno Mars. Bruno Mars 24 Karat Magic. This album is so much fun, and like the songs on it are just great. And his voice, oh my god, his vocals are just killer. 24 Karat Magic, That's What I Like, Versace on the Floor, Too Good to Say Goodbye. I gotta say, Too Good to Say Goodbye is probably one of the greatest ballads that I've ever listened to. I love Bruno Mars, and this album is possibly my favorite album of his. Really good, really good. There's lots of it's kind of got like a 70s funk, R&B, disco feel to it. It's like a classic album modernized, you know? Pretty cool. Ah, yes. We're going heavy. 2013. This is the final Black Sabbath album. This was the when they reunited with Ozzy Osbourne, and they came out with this killer record. End of the Beginning, God is Dead, Loner. This album's awesome. This album is awesome. And Ozzy's got a new solo record coming out. I don't really know why he doesn't just do another record with Sabbath too, but it is what it is. Next up we got... Oh, okay, so we're going to D for David Gilmour. Some of you people like to go by last name. I go by first name. Whatever. Rattle That Lock. This is a really good album. It's not his best album, but it's really good. Came out in 2015. I love David Gilmour. The song Rattle That Lock's a lot of fun. The Girl in the Yellow Dress, very jazzy sort of tune. Really awesome. The whole album's good. And look at that picture of him on the back. What a cool dude. I love David Gilmour. I will say that About Face is my favorite album of his. But that's an 80s album. Okay, going to F for FU. Just kidding, I'm joking. Foo Fighters, Wasting Light. R.I.P. Taylor Hawkins. We just lost him back in March. And this is quite possibly my favorite Foo Fighters record. I think the writing on this is some of the best that they've ever done. And I have all of their albums. But this one, to me, just every song, you know, whether it's a all-out metal sort of rocker or like a more like a pop rock sort of feel, like this album kind of covers all bases, and it doesn't slouch. Like it covers everything that it's trying to cover, and it does it really well. Like I remember listening to this album one night just going, this album is phenomenal. This album is amazing. Bridge Burning, Rope, Dear Rosemary. Oh, I gotta say, the drumming on Rope is awesome. The whole drumming on the whole album is great. Taylor Hawkins was one of the best. White Limo, Arlandria, These Days, Back and Forth, Walk. Yeah, there's not even a single skip track. It's just that good. And Arlandria is also one of my favorite tunes as well. Foo Fighters, Wasting Light. That one's from 2011, if I didn't say that before. Okay, so we're going in sort of like the progressive metal scene here. This is a really good modern prog metal band, and they're called Frost. This album is called Frozen Satellites. And the Raging Against the Dying of the Light Blues in 7/8, Hypoventilate, the whole album it's crazy. It's crazy. These guys are so talented. Craig Blundell plays drums on this. He's now in Steve Hackett's band, but he came from Frost. And I love Frost. Their new album's really good. Like, they have one more after this, but this is the one that made the list. Awesome album. If you're a prog metal fan, if you like Tool and Dream Theater and stuff, I definitely recommend giving this band a listen. Another band that I would also recommend is Hanshin Virus. This one came out in 2020. I love the song Prosthetic and the Messiah Complex. This album is great. Really, really great band. And they're on the Inside Out label, as is Dream Theater. And Mike Portnoy said they're his favorite band right now. But that all aside, this is just a really talented group of musicians and just a really great band. So this album is called Virus. Iron Maiden, one of my favorite bands of all time. This is their newest album. This came out, late last year, 2021. We're coming up to 1 year of Senjutsu. Wow. I actually did a video of the unboxing of the Super Deluxe CD box set when it came out last year, but that's on my channel if you want to go check it out. I love Iron Maiden. What metalhead doesn't? If you don't love Maiden, you're not a true metalhead. That's just a fact. This band means a lot to me, and this album is fantastic. A band, they put out like 25 albums or something like that, and they still are hungry, and they're still writing quality stuff. It's unbelievable. This band just never stops, and I hope they never retire. That's Iron Maiden, Senjutsu. Next up. All right, so this is more of like a modern hip hop, funk, pop. Like, there's kind of like a little bit of everything on this album. And I first heard of this album from the Grammys earlier this year, believe it or not. I watched that, and I saw this guy perform, and he blew my mind. He was an absolutely great performer. He could play every instrument, and he could sing, and he could sing well, and he writes great songs. This album is called We Are. It's by a guy named John Batiste. And just listen to the whole album. It's a very, very consistent listen, and there's lots of great stuff to be found throughout. This man is immensely talented. I definitely recommend it. Awesome stuff. So now we're on to K. So we got Korn. I was actually just listening to their newest album on cassette, The Requiem. But this is the album that makes the cut for this. This came out in 2013. This is the Paradigm Shift. This is one of my favorite Korn records. This is up there with their best. Pray For Me, Love and Meth, What We Do, Mass Hysteria, Paranoid and Aroused, Punishment Time, Lullaby for a Sadist. So this album was really important for Korn, actually, because Brian Welch had just rejoined the band. He had quit the band for about 10 years, and they soldiered on without him, but he came back in 2013 and did this album, and he's been back ever since. This is one of my favorite Korn records. Just love it. Korn, Paradigm Shift. Next up, we've got... Okay, so this was a bit of a different album for this artist. This is Lady Gaga's Joanne. This came out in, was it 2016? Yeah, it was 2016. This is my favorite Lady Gaga album. I wasn't super big on the latest pop record she did, but the newest album that she's done with Tony Bennett was also really good, a jazz record. But I really like this one. It's got a perfect mix of like pop and folk and sort of like an acoustic It's got a very raw feel to it. I really like it. It's not overproduced pop or anything. Chromatica. But yeah, this album, the whole album's good, top to bottom. Like, I like everything. I like the whole thing, every track. Million Reasons was a huge hit off this album. But Ayo, Diamond Heart, John Wayne. Yeah, this album's awesome. Really good. Way to go, Lady Gaga. I love this one. Joanne. Next up. Ah, yes! Ooh! We're going to 2016 with Metallica. Hardwired to Self-Destruct. Now, I got a bone to pick here. Not about this album at all. Nothing to do with Metallica per se, but I listen to a station called 97.7, and at 10:30 every night, they do what's called Mandatory Metallica. And I love that. I love that. But this time, tonight, it's just after 11 here, they played the little intro tape that they play before Mandatory Metallica starts, where they would normally play 2 Metallica songs thereafter, and then they played Seether. And they, as much as I like Seether, they didn't play Metallica, Mandatory Metallica, and I was a bit bummed out about that. I still love the station, don't get me wrong. It's a great station, the hosts are hilarious, but anyway, this is a bit off topic. This album is awesome. This came out in 2016. A lot of great metal stuff came out in 2016. Megadeth did Dystopia. Anthrax did For All Kings, which was seen previously in this video. And Metallica did this masterpiece album. Spit Out the Bone. Spit Out the Bone. It's just one of the greatest songs that this band ever wrote as far as I'm concerned. Dream No More gives me Load flashbacks, which I love. I love Load. And I will defend Load and Reload till the day I die. Hardwired, At Last Rise, Now That We're Dead, Moth into Flame, Am I Savage, Confusion. Yeah, this album is awesome. And it's a very, very consistent release. Like, every song on it is good. It's not like, oh yeah, this, no. The whole thing is good, top to bottom. Great album. Metallica, Hardwired to Self-Destruct. Go! Next up, we've got, okay, we're going to the prog scene again. This has got one of my favorite people in the world on drums. This is Neil Morse's Sola Gracia, and it's got Mike Portnoy on drums. This album is awesome. It's very much got Neil's sort of Christian lyrics and stuff, but that's all fine. I like the message, even though I'm not a Christian myself, but the drumming on this is amazing. The musicianship from everybody on this record, Neil, Mike, everybody that played on this record is awesome in their own right, but this is a progressive metal epic album, and this came out 2020. Sola Gracia, Neil Morse. Check it out. Next up we got Opeth in Cauda Venenum. Now this album's pretty different for Opeth, so they're going in a bit of a different direction. They started off as sort of like a death metal band, but over time, over the last 20 years or so, they've changed their sound, so they're not doing the death growls anymore. It's very much more melodic, progressive rock / metal, and I like it. I like some of their old stuff, and I like their new stuff too. This is a very talented band. Michael Ackerfeld is a great musician. The whole band is awesome. In Cauda Venenum, Opeth. This came out 2019, so just before the world shut down. Okay. Next up, we have the latest album from Porcupine Tree, Closure and Continuation. This album is great. What can I say? There's a song on here called Rat's Return. I love it. Yeah, this whole album is just absolutely phenomenal. What can I say? I love Porcupine Tree. Not my favorite Porky Tree album, but it's still great. Steven Wilson is an absolute phenomenal musician, and his vision cannot be... there's really like you can't even put it into words. Like his vision for his music and his sound and his sonic ideas and stuff is out of this world. And he's just the guy. And Gavin Harrison is one of my favorite drummers, and he's on this record, and I love this band very much. Porcupine Tree, Closure Continuation. Next up, we've got Fish, Big Boat. I love Fish. I'm a big Fish fan. I haven't seen them in concert or anything yet, although I do plan to change that in the future. This came out in, again, 2016. 2016 was a magical year, I guess, looking back at it. But Trey Anastasio is a fantastic musician and songwriter. The whole band are fantastic musicians and songwriters, but I really like this album a lot. Like the songs Blaze On, Tide Turns, Breath and Burning. This album, oh, and it's produced by Bob Ezrin too. This album is absolutely phenomenal, and it just shows how great musicians that this band is, and I love them for it. Fish, Big Boat. Next up, we've got Paul McCartney. This one came out in, it was 2018. I remember when this came out. I just loved it, and I still love it now. This album is just, it's pretty much perfect top to bottom. You can't really say anything bad about this. It's just awesome. Paul McCartney, Egypt Station, and this is the accordion edition. Pretty cool. People Want Peace, Come On To Me, Happy With You, Who Cares, Fa You, Hunt You Down, Naked, C-Link, Despite Repeated Warnings, Hand in Hand. Hand in Hand is one of my favorite ballads ever, and Paul McCartney, writes a lot of great ballads too. The man is just, he's possibly my favorite songwriter of all time. There's not really much of his catalog where I go, eh. Of course, there's the odd thing here and there, but he's pretty consistent with how good he is. So, Egypt Station, Paul and McCartney. We got a lot of P's here. We got two more. Pretty Reckless, Death by Rock and Roll. I love Taylor Momsen. I love this band. I enjoy every song on this. Only Love Can Save Me Now, which has got Matt Cameron and Kim Thale from Soundgarden. And So It Went, which features Tom Morello. Got So High, Rock and Roll Heaven, Death by Rock and Roll, Witches Burn, Standing at the Wall, Turning Gold. This whole album, like this album and the other album by them, Going to Hell. I could have easily put both here because they're both so great. Going to Hell came out in 2014. This came out, it was last year, 2021. But I had to go with this one. It's just, I love it. I love Pretty Reckless, and great hard rock band. Nothing bad I can say about them. Wasn't so big on the album that came out in between this one and Going to Hell. I didn't actually ever buy it. But this one just knocked it out of the park again. And I actually just heard Death by Rock and Roll, the song, on the radio on the way home today. So, pretty cool. Okay, we're going to sort of like a hip-hop, pop, rap kind of vibe here with Post Malone, Hollywood's Bleeding. I'm not like the biggest Post Malone fan. I do have all of his albums, but I love this album a lot. Like, this is far and away my favorite Post Malone album. 1,000 Bad Times is one of my favorite songs, and Circles, of course. Myself is another song I really like on this. This album is awesome. Just a really great listen. I like it top to bottom. 2019, Hollywood's Bleeding. Next up, we got what was unfortunately the last album for my favorite Canadian band of all time, Rush, Clockwork Angels. This came out in 2012. Strong album, just like all the other Rush albums. The Anarchist, Clockwork Angels, Caravan, Headlong Flight, The Garden. Oh my gosh, The Garden. What an awesome record. And then now this is hard to get now. This is hard to find. You can't, they took it off of streaming for a while. You can't find the vinyl anymore. But I have it. Clockwork Angels. Epic album. R.I.P. Neil Peart. I love you and I love Rush very much. Not to get too sad, let's go rock it out with some Slash and the Conspirators featuring Myles Kennedy. Now, I love this band. I'm not super crazy about Guns N' Roses for the most part. I do like them, but they kind of get like a lot of like overhyped. But Slash and the Conspirators, I'm all for this. Like, I love this. Serve You Right, Mind Your Manners, Lost Inside the Girl, Driving Rain. This album's awesome. And Myles Kennedy is a hell of a singer. And that dude can knock it out of the park. And the whole band is just firing on all cylinders. Awesome. Living the Dream. This came out in 2018. Oh, another brand new one. Scorpions, Rock Believer. Now, if I could be in a band as great as the Scorpions and sound as great as they still do, like having been together for over 50 years now, and like I would love that for my future. Gas in the Tank, Roots in My Boots. Yeah, this album is really good. I like the Scorpions, and if you like their old stuff, you should check this out if you haven't heard it already. Rock Believer. Good band. Always serving it up. Good that band is. Okay. Sons of Apollo. Yeah. So this came out just about 2 years ago, 2020. And but I just heard it recently for the first time. This album fucking blew my mind. It was amazing. Mike Portnoy on drums, Billy Sheehan on bass, he's from Mr. Big, Ron Thal on guitar, who I actually got to meet Ron Thal when he was with Asia a couple years ago. He was a super nice guy. And Ron, if you ever see this, hi. And Jeff Scott Soto on the vocals. This album was just like a progressive metal powerhouse. You know, you get those four guys together, but particularly Billy Sheehan, Mike Portnoy, and Ron Thal, and you're gonna have a powerhouse band because those guys are all killer musicians. And I gotta say, the song Asphyxiation blew my face off. The whole record did, the whole album did, but Asphyxiation, New World Today, Fall to Ascend, Goodbye Divinity, Wither to Black. This whole album, just top to bottom, is really worth a listen. It's called MMXX, Roman numerals. Sons of Apollo. Okay. And another band that has absolutely changed my life is Tool. This is the Fear Inoculum box set. That came out a couple months back. Of course, this actual album was released in 2019. This album changed my life. Like, I was aware of Tool for many years, like years and years before, because of my dad. I knew songs like Schism and Sober and stuff. But when this album came out, I really paid a lot of attention to it, and it just sort of blew my face apart. And, oh, well, I went to the concert, and I got this t-shirt. Danny Carey is a god of drumming. Him and Mike Portnoy are probably my two favorite drummers right now. This whole band is just a super creative band, although they don't release a lot. As all of you Tool fans know, there's a massive gap between each album. I might have grandchildren by the time the next Tool record comes out, so we better cherish this one. This is Fear Inoculum. Progressive metal masterpiece. Great, great music. I can't just give you one song, you have to listen to the whole thing. Trivium, What the Dead Men Say. I love Trivium, and I could have also picked their newest album and the one that came before this, but this is the one that wins. The song, oh my gosh, I can't speak. The song Catastrophist it owns my heart. It's just one of my favorite songs. But the song "What the Dead Man Say," the ones we leave behind, I can't speak. Bending the Arc to Fear. The whole record's great. The whole record's great. So just check the whole thing out. This is very much like, this is sort of like melodic death metal. But the singer's voice can do anything, and it can go from like, it's very dynamic, so it can go from like 2 or 3 to like 5 or 6, back to like 2 or 3, back to like 10 or 11 on the scale. Like, this whole band is just awesome. The drums are great. Everything about this great. Great band. Trivium, What the Dead Man Say. So this one was a bit of an eclectic pop album when it came out, and it still is in my opinion. This is 21 Pilots' Blurryface. This album, you can't really pigeonhole this. It has something for like everyone. Not really metal, of course, but you know, there's sort of like rap songs, there's pop songs, there's folk songs, there's acoustic. Yeah, like it's a really, really good album. It's really eclectic. I enjoy it a lot. A Heavy Dirty Soul, Stressed Out, Ride, Fairly Local, Tear in My Heart, Lane Boy, We Don't Believe What's on TV, Doubt, Polarized. This whole album is like, I recommend the whole thing. I'm a full albums kind of guy, so not one of these albums even has like a bad song on them. Like, I listen to entire albums. Yeah, 21 Pilots. I love these guys. Great band. Okay, and so this is more like a country pop. This is another artist who's kind of gone all over the place. Like, they started off as a country artist and moved towards sort of pop. And I like her pop stuff a lot. I really am a big fan of hers. I think she's a great songwriter. And, you know, I love her. And this is Taylor Swift. This is Red. I could have also picked Folklore or Evermore for this list as well, because those are 2 of my favorite albums that she's ever done. But this album is, like, this is hands down one of the best albums of the 2010s. I'm not even kidding you. I do have Red Taylor's version, but this is the version I pulled out. This is the original release. Yeah, so Taylor Swift, Red. I really enjoy this whole album. It's very much so a vibe. I Knew You Were Trouble, Treacherous, All Too Well, 22, I Almost Do. The song that she did with Ed Sheeran, Everything Has Changed, is on here, and it's also a great, I love it. Begin Again, We're Never Getting Back Together, I Knew You Were Trouble, State of Grace, Red, Starlight. Yeah, the whole album, I really enjoy the whole thing. Just great writing, soulful writing. It's very much like a personal record for her. And I love it. And she's got a new one coming out in about a month or 2, so that'll be pretty cool. And the last one here is a Y band. And this will wrap up this Eras series. So we're going to go with the latest album from Yes. This is called The Quest. I like this album a lot. It's not the best Yes album, but it's a pretty good record all the way through. The song The Ice Bridge is very much like a modernized classic Yes feel. Dare to Know, Minus the Man, The Western Edge, Future Memories, which is a great ballad written by John Davison. Mystery Tour, which is kind of like a tribute to the Beatles. This album is really, really good, and unfortunately Alan White passed away a couple months after this was released. R.I.P. Alan White, you're one of my biggest influences. I'm a massive Yes fan. And this is actually the box set that came out for this album. So let's check it out. Let's see what's in here. So we've got the Quest slip mat. We have a little certificate of authenticity saying that this is a limited numbered edition. This is number 203 of 5,000 pressed. There's a poster. I'm not going to open it all up. There's a booklet with pictures of the band and stuff inside. With Steve Howe. Getting younger by the day. Pretty cool. This has got the vinyl LP, which is like it's kind of like a glow in the dark thing. Alexa, turn off all the lights.
Okay.
Well, you can't see it. Alexa, turn on all the lights. Sorry, guys. So yeah, but it is glow in the dark. It's supposed to be, and this is the CD / DVD surround sound combo pack that comes in it. It's got the album mixed in surround sound. I haven't checked that out yet, so I should. And it's got the pin, the Yes pin. Long live Yes, and you know, I will listen to them for as long as they're around and as long as I'm around. I love Yes, and I know this isn't everybody's necessarily favorite lineup of the band, but I've been fortunate enough to meet some of the people in this lineup, and they were really nice guys and great musicians, and I saw them back in 2019. Ironically, Asia was on the bill, and I met all the guys in Asia, which was Ron Thal from Sons of Apollo, as well as Billy Sherwood, who plays on this album. R.I.P. Chris Squire. Yeah, so that's Yes, The Quest. It came out last year. And that wraps up this whole series shindig. Well, I hope that you guys have all enjoyed these. And I will see you in the future, memories. I will see you in the future for another video very soon. Thanks a lot. Rock on!